So we're talking about Easter,
Okay.
and we want to get just some of your thoughts, some of your inputs of what the experience of coming up to the Easter time, the crucifixion, the resurrection, like that whole season. But the week before that, what took place? And so today we're going to talk, Mike, we're going to talk a little bit about what happened on the Monday. Okay?
I can't believe it! You Yeah, I see why you don't want to run through this twice.
Mike, what do you think? What's going on inside?
Chaos,
Yeah?
right? Disorganized.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're in the temple on that day.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus comes in as he's done many times. It's coming into the Passover season. And you're there, as you've been many times before, and you have to buy some doves, some animals, something that you're going to sacrifice, or you're going to have them sacrifice for you, but you got to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
You're in there, you're looking at the prices, and you're going, this is really expensive. It just doesn't seem right. And Jesus comes walking through the door with his disciples, a crowd of people following him. And out of the corner of your eye, you just notice that he's got this concerned look on his face. But everything's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, he just lets go. Something inside of him just gets so passionate, and he gets so angry inside. He just starts throwing the tables everywhere and throwing the money and letting the birds out of the bird cages and chasing out the animals. What's going on in your mind in that moment?
Who is this guy?
Yeah.
Right? You know, we've seen him around, but you hear the stories,
Yeah.
but who is this guy really?
Yeah.
You know, that he would step into that space
Yeah.
and be so flaunting of the rules in a way, right?
Yeah. So what's interesting is a lot of the people that would have been there that day would have been some of the widows and orphans, and people who are coming in because they were looking through the Passover season, they were looking for that moment when their sins are going to be cleansed, that there's going to be an animal sacrificed on behalf of them. And it would have been a traditional thing, takes place every year.
Yep.
But the people in the temple that were looking after the animals got into a pattern of saying that you can only pay for it in this type of currency. So they would bring in their currency, they would have to exchange the money for a different currency, and that exchange rate became ridiculous, absorbent. They were having to bring in a lot of money to pay for something that they could hardly afford, and the people that were exchanging the money it was their chance to steal. And then this person comes in and he starts throwing the tables and he says, you guys missed the mark on this. This is not what it's about.
Yep.
And so just walk with me through what it would have felt like, and kind of put yourself in the shoes of somebody coming in to buy a sacrifice animal with that, man, I can hardly afford this, and then this person comes in. What would you be thinking? What would you be feeling at that time?
Well, I mean, there's a history, a pattern
Yeah.
of this, because you've been there before.
Yeah.
And why is it this much, and now this year it's this much? You know, 5 years ago, it was that much,
Yeah.
right? And you have this comparison. I think there's a lot of, that your brain starts playing with you and going, like, this is just ridiculous. Emotionally, I could see being mad,
Yeah.
frustrated,
Yeah.
right? Wondering, why do we have to do this anyway?
Yeah.
But you did.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Passover was very, it was taught from the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, it was a huge celebration.
Yeah.
For the Jewish culture, and it wasn't even there was no option.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't a suggestion or, well, we won't take that in this year.
Yeah.
You know, it was, this is part of who we are.
Yeah.
As a culture. This is our identity.
I think, and what I love about this story is it does show his passion about how much he cares for people to come into relationship with the Father. That was the whole point of Jesus being here, is to reunite us with the Father. And so he comes in and he sees where people are taking advantage of that, missing the mark, and they know better. I think that's what made him so angry. He just, you guys know better than this.
Yeah.
And taking advantage. And so inside of him were just this explosive, righteous indignation.
Yeah.
And it just comes out, and he flips the tables, and he says, this was meant to be a house of prayer, and you've turned it into a den of thieves. And then he uprighted the wrong. And what was interesting is he was not arrested. He wasn't arrested by the temple guards.
No, he walked away.
He did. He took authority, and I think they would have been too afraid to touch him because of, a place full of people who were feeling the same frustration, and he spoke for everyone and righted the wrong. They weren't going to go back to what it was.
No. I would say, I bet that the temple, the priests, people that were working, managing the biz of, selling and exchanging, I bet you they were guilty, but it came out as anger. Rather than, we know we're doing wrong here, but we're pretty successful at it, right? So
I would have loved to been there on that Monday.
Right.
And that was the beginning of the week of the Passover. That's the beginning of what we call the Holy Week. And so throughout this season, we're going to be looking at each day what took place leading up to the crucifixion of Christ and then, of course, the resurrection. So, Mike, thank you for being here with me today.
Worries. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate your reality of who you really are and what God's doing in your life. So,
Thanks, Bob.
God bless you. Have a fantastic week.